Black Ops 2 Zombies to a lot of people is some of the best zombies in Call of Duty. Of course, it has a lot of high competition like that of World at War, Black Ops 1, and even Black Ops 3 to some people, and depending on where you stand, Black Ops 2 gave us a decent alteration to the narrative, to the gameplay experience, and other things alike. But there's a couple things that you might never have known about Call of Duty Zombies in Black Ops 2, and one in particular is a mode that I think is something that would have been so cool to see through, but never actually made it to the public. So, with that said, we're going to be taking a look at the Meat game mode within Black Ops 2, a cut game mode which has almost no information on it out there, which is rather intriguing, but it was something that was brought to light by Jason Blundell and Johnny J25 and co during an interview as of recently, as a part of the little interview series that Jason Blundell was doing with a bunch of different YouTubers. So, figured let's take a look at this here and talk a little bit about this and give you guys the basic rundown of how this would have worked. Now, as mentioned, the mode was called Meat, and it's a rather ambiguous and interesting name here that doesn't really offer too much of a description in it of itself. But as per a couple of leaks that happened a while back, there was a loading screen that very well may be the loading screen for the Meat game mode that once again never made it out of development, so there's not any alterations to this or any different variations of sorts to see that maybe this was something that was planned with the DLC, but there was only that one. Now, how this would have worked is that there was a map divided by a barrier, presumably transit, because that was the base map in Black Ops 2. Now, what was interesting about this is that the different parts of the maps that were playable, once again, probably dealing with the subsectors of like town, farm, the bus depot, all that kind of stuff, these were then sectioned off by barriers. And this was something that you could not cross over those barriers as a player, but the zombies could. So where this then comes into play with the name Meat was that there was an objective in which the players basically played keep away with the meat. So whoever had the meat, that would attract the zombies. So think of the meat almost as a football and the zombies would chase after the ball. And so it added a brand new dynamic to Grief that was not finished, that essentially pitted both teams against each other in a tighter, more controlled map. Grief, obviously, you can play around with basically the entire area of each subsector map, and as a result, it did get chaotic by crossing paths with different hordes and everything like that, but in this, it makes it even tighter because you only have half the map to work with. So it's cool to ponder the idea that players could hold onto the meat and chuck it over the wall in a type of tug-of-war scenario where everyone wants to get rid of the meat. So while there's not many details on how the gameplay actually itself would work out, how it would end up and everything like that, perhaps if the player got downed while holding the meat, so they ended up being the unfortunate soul that had the meat tossed over to them over the wall or something, or they didn't get it out in time, perhaps they'd be downed while holding the meat and it would restart at the center point as if almost like a game of dodgeball. And I just realized how many sports and different game references there are, so my apologies with this one, but the end game would ultimately, though, to be the last man or team standing. Whoever lost their players first lost the game. So it's an interesting dynamic, once again, to Grief and adding that into a different subversion of Grief. So I think it would have been a very cool addition to Black Ops 2 and Zombies at the time. But one thing this then ultimately leads to is that this perhaps also cut into how development of Transit worked. Perhaps this is also why Transit wasn't as greatly received of a map as it maybe could have been. Perhaps this was something that perhaps Transit didn't live up to all the expectations and potential that it could have, simply because this game mode and others were kind of prioritized in the development process, and thus taking more time on various different projects rather than focusing on one larger one. Of course, it might have taken away from that development time, maybe cut into how much time they had to work with overall, and maybe it was a little bit just too ambitious with too many other things on the mind of Treyarch rather than just that one launch map. So perhaps this then leads into an overarching discussion of Transit as a whole, but nonetheless, that's not necessarily where we are at this point in this video. So that said, I just want to let you guys know about this because I saw some information about this once again probably a couple weeks back now at this point, but it was something super cool, I thought, and I really definitely would have loved to see this come in Black Ops 2 because Grief was a ton of fun, but this would have once again added a whole brand new dynamic to it. That said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up with this video. I would love to hear your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this mode Meat? Would you guys have been intrigued into playing it? Would you guys really have liked to see it come, or would you guys not necessarily cared all that much to see this come in its capacity that it was at? So be sure to let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you guys are new to the channel as well, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything we have here regarding zombies, Zombies Chronicles, Black Ops 3 multiplayer, Call of Duty World War II multiplayer, and zombies, Modern Warfare Remastered, all that good stuff. We got you covered here up on the channel. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said, now out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Nikolai Espresso. Take care, and peace.